need to call to order the August board meeting, regular board meeting of the Danville Board of Education. Welcome everybody here tonight. The first item on our agenda is to approve the meeting agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting agenda as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is reports and presentations. First, we'll have board member comments. Are there any board members who would like to speak at this point?
Just a great start to the school year. It was beautiful. Custodial staff, just amazing work. And just looks like we're off to a great year.
That sounds good. Well said. Anybody else? All right. Next is our superintendent's report. Dr. Lowe.
I too would like to talk about the incredible beginning we've had to our school year. We've had schools staffed with caring and committed adults. I think that has been reflected in the disposition of our school environments. Any school that you've walked into at the beginning has had a very comfortable, confident feel. Staff have in fact relayed carefully that this is one of the best beginnings they've had. Which is always one of those comments that happens every year. There's always some teacher who says it, but it's always nice to hear. It's the years when no one says it, you really get concerned, but it's been more than most have wanted to make that publicly known. And to that, we have had our enrollment to reflect. We have over 1,800 students currently enrolled in Danville schools. We continue to count every day, and really it's the 5 and 10 day counts that become the most the greatest factors. So we're still tightening numbers, but we're over 1,800 and are adding consistently as some folks come in off vacation, other kids we track down to remind them that school has started, and they're missing out every day on the exciting things there. Hopefully you've had a chance even to see we threw together an online video to show the beginning of our school. It's a fun way to kick things off. We've never done that before, and it celebrates the work K through 12. And even that's been followed up with some schools doing the same. Tyler just ran one about these are a few of my favorite things, which while I was never a fan of the sound of music, it does look very good with our students in front of it, so I've become a quick fan from it. So it's been a great beginning. We've filled in, I think, our last positions as well with some very capable staff, and are set for an exciting year.
Okay, thank you. Next is celebrations of excellence. Do we have anything tonight? Okay, we'll hit those in the months ahead. Next is our District of Innovation report.
We'll work backwards in chronology. Our revisited plan is due to the state on August 31st, so likely there will be a special call board meeting for us to be able to revisit that prior to. As we back map, we are this week meeting with all schools individually. In fact, today was Danville High, and we meet with each school every afternoon so that there is full staff participation in the discussion of our innovation plan, both what is current, what is desired, and what is preferred, and what additions, deletions, and edits we would like to make sure that it matches our staff, our students, our community, and our commitments therein. From that, moving backwards, we were able to have the same conversation to kick off our beginning of the school year event and laid out some priorities for staff, and that was based upon a lot of work done this summer. Everything from leadership development, because obviously any good plan requires people and skilled folks in front to be able to discuss the work and how things unfold, as well as to a series of initiatives that include our involvement in the University of Kentucky Next Generation Learning Academy, teams from both the high school and the middle school focusing on personalized learning, as well as some other professional development opportunities for staff, including the STEM program at the University of Kentucky and other pieces of programs that will emerge, including our JAG work with the Pathways program. So we've got the foundwork played for the plan to come to fruition. We're meeting with staff currently this week to make sure we've got folks' input. We'll be diligently working to build a revisited plan to have that come to life. The thing about these types of plans is that they never should be finished, and it should never be in a final iteration, because that would essentially defeat the purpose of innovation. So we look forward for the next iteration to be available for the board to consider towards the end of August and then be approved by the state, knowing that even in that iteration, it too will follow with more considerations and conversations as we continue to learn what works, what doesn't, and how we adjust from there. As was said in the opening videos, we used some Angela Lee Duckworth. We plan to be very gritty in our approach to this work, recognizing that it's about a growth mindset of knowing that there's always more potential involved. And we should be looking at what works, what doesn't, and taking our best risks and basic instincts to make those decisions. And that's what we'll be doing and moving forward.
Okay. And the board will be in touch, and we'll talk about a time and a day for a special meeting just to approve that plan to be able to meet the deadline for the state in the next week or so. The next item on the agenda is the personnel report.
And there was no attachment this month because 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, the board took action to personnel. We have had some moves and some things happening, and we'll report those in September.
Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is reserved for the public. Is there anyone here tonight who would like to address the board? If you could just kind of stand, identify yourself, and oh yeah, I got the microphone.
Smells like a hearing in front of Congress.
Gee, thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Elaine Wilson-Reddy. I'm a citizen of Danville and am also a professional educator. I would like to thank you all first for giving me the opportunity to speak. I know that you all don't have to do this, and it's very nice that you all do allow the public to speak in your meetings. I attended the work session last Monday, as many of you know. Listened while board members voiced concerns over transitions of students from 5th grade to Bate Middle School, specifically about how students were placed in the accelerated level of classes. Dr. Look listened very carefully, then explained that those decisions were site-based counseling decisions. The discussion continued as board members started talking about their children specifically. As I listened, I kept waiting to hear how this would be addressed at the district level, since it was a board work session which handles district level issues. The discussion never transitioned to the district level. I remember Dr. Look saying twice, possibly 3 times, that the board members should take it up with their site-based counsel. Having been a part of this conversation and listened to it, I have some concerns. The board members who expressed their concern are parents of current students. It appeared as if they might have had a personal agenda in this conversation. Board members are to ensure what is best for the district as a whole. Parents of current students must be very careful to avoid the appearance of having a bias toward their own children or toward a specific peer group. My second concern is that the conversation never turned toward how to make the transition from one building to another better for all students. There was no district level problem solving or conversation. Maybe this would have been a good time to consider having a curriculum director for the middle school and high school, which I understand has been requested by Dr. Look, but not approved. Having a middle school, high school curriculum director can help address transitions from 5th grade to Bate, from Bate to the high school. Teachers nor administrators have the time nor the availability to perform this particular job. It's specific, and I think that if we had that person, it would take care of a lot of issues, not just transitions from building to building. Number 3, it is readily apparent that Dr. Look truly has the best interest of all students in mind as he approaches planning for the district. I am concerned that the current board doesn't have full faith and trust in his professional assessment on the needs for our district. He is the professional educator. He is the one who was hired to lead this district. It would be a relief to many to see the board actively support Dr. Look's decisions and requests. Yes, due diligence is required. Questions must be asked. It would be a shame if the person who is professionally trained in education and is concerned about all of our children was not given the opportunity to fully do what he was hired to do. And lastly, I would like to remind the board members that whenever 3 of you are together, it's considered a quorum. And if three of you are together and are having a conversation, it appears that it could be something that maybe it shouldn't be. It just so happened that after the work session Monday night, my husband and I were going to dinner, and there were 3 board members standing in the parking lot alone having a conversation. I'm going to assume that they were speaking about the weather, or talking about the soccer schedule, or talking about the color of paint on the house across the street, and not discussing anything that had to do with board business. So be careful, because you never know who might see you or what it appears to be, whether it is or not.
Thank you. Is there anyone else tonight that would like to address the board? No? Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please.
Well, I too wanted to ask the status of the secondary curriculum person. I've been asking for a couple of months now, and I just would like to know where that stands and why the middle school and high school aren't being given the same level of district support that the elementaries are.
You know, the answer this month is the same as the answer when you asked the last time, and I said that we had discussed that as we go through this process of revisiting our district innovation plan, that we had talked and felt like that it would make sense to discuss resources and needs for administrative positions, and we talked about central office at the point that we kind of knew what our priorities were for that, knew what our plans were for that, and that we would discuss resources and staffing and those sorts of things at that point. And so that, as I told you last month, that the deadline for us to do that is August 31st for the state. So that still has not happened yet, as Dr. Wilk reported. And so that's something that will happen as we mentioned before. Again, an answer to your question.
Okay, I'll be back in September,
I'm sure you
hoping
will.
that there's an answer.
You've got an answer tonight, and there will be an
Well,
answer if you ask again.
Well,
So-
I can't help it if I don't think it's a very good answer, Lonnie.
That's fine, but it's an answer. I'm telling you where we are in the answer to your question.
Okay.
So,
In the meantime, the high school and Bay are suffering from the lack of some district-level instructional support. I've been in this business a long time,
right.
you know. I just feel very strongly about that.
And we've heard you, and thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board tonight?
Well, are we supposed to say who we are?
That'd be great.
I'm Kay Anderson, and I wasn't planning on addressing the board, but I believe I must after I've heard the other comments made. As a parent, and a very involved parent, at Bate on the state base, and now at the high school, I've done my own little poll. I haven't been here to participate in prior meetings, but I've certainly got my pulse on both schools, and I have asked parents in both schools, and I've asked many teachers in both schools, and clearly, hands down, neither of those groups believes that we need another type of administrator at the district level to transcend for those schools or to assist with those schools. I can speak very openly and candidly about the strength of the instructional leadership teams at both of those schools, Bate and the high school. And I think they would almost be offended if another person were to come in and try to, dictate to them when they think they're doing an outstanding job. And from all perspective, and I'm there a lot at both schools, but mostly at the high school, I can't imagine that need exists. So if that is a concern of yours, if you're going to consider it, I think maybe you should hear from some more parents and teachers, because I definitely think you will find that that would not be on their wish list. I want to say that, and I also want to say, I wasn't at your work session, so I don't know what was discussed, but I know the parents on the board of the children, and I can't imagine that anybody was advocating for his or her own child. That just doesn't sound like the people that I know to be board members. And so from a perspective of defense, I would just say that bothers me that was alleged. I wish I had been here so I would know better what was said, but I can say with certainty I believe the board has the students' best interests at heart, daily, nightly, and any time that any issue is considered. So perhaps again, I'm going to start coming and finding out what's said, so I'll have a better defense or statement to make. But I wanted to say for the record, it does bother me that there was some discussion that you all would advocate for your own children and not all of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board tonight? Thank you to everyone who came and for your comments. They were heard. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the 7/23/15, 7/29/15, 7/30/15, and 7/30/15 business meetings. As submitted.
Is there a second? I have a motion and a second to approve the July 23rd, 29th, and 30th meeting minutes as submitted. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is the elementary redesign. Is there a motion?
I move we accept the redesign as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Eric, come over to us.
I know we've had a couple meetings over the last couple of weeks to look at design development, set of drawings that we have developed for Tolliver Elementary redesign, renovation additions. The most I think you are aware of that we finished up those drawings, developed a cost opinion, and we found that we were about $1.7 million over. Most of that was probably in the additional square footage that we put in that building. So we were trying to look at different ways to be conservative with the design, look at materials, look at some of the items that we had in that design, see if we could either do them as alternates or as what we call Bay engineering. And through the last 2 weeks, we've had 2 meetings with the architectural advisory group and had come up with a discussion back and forth a little bit what ones were acceptable, which ones were no, that's got to stay in, and which ones were alternates. That means that they're still basically in design. When we get done and go out to bid, we see if there's money left over in the available money to support and accept those alternates. And I think, I don't know if this list has been passed out to the board yet. I don't know what we kind of came up with from the last Thursday's meeting. So as on this sheet I've given you, the top kind of box kind of explains where we started at with the original budget, the initial BG1, then it goes to the design development cost opinion. Came in at 2.4 with some additional geotech report that indicated some soft soils remediation and some what we call aggregate piers that added about $300,000 to that cost opinion of 12.4. So when we were all said and done, we're about 12.7 million, and we wanted to be at more closer to $11 million. And then at the last planning meeting, Roy Campbell was able to present a new revised financial outlook due to several factors that increased the bonding potential by about a little over $1.1 million. So that really effectively added about a $1 million add to what I call a hard cost for the project. So it kind of increased the project budget from $11 million to $12 million. So in the end, we ended up with about a $700,000 delta. And through that, we presented a list of about 30 or more ideas that we had put out there with different values on them. And through this, we kind of come down to this list in the second lower box that kind of describes what would be alternate and what would be a VE item. VE item would be that we type not continue with that design on that piece as we go into construction documents. So in the end, we came up with about a little over $250,000 in alternates, and we came up with about $440,000 in VE items. So we were just about $4,000 short of that $700,000, which I think that we needed to get, which I think puts us right at where we need to be to move on with what we call design development approval of that in order for us to get to the next stage. The schedule, the way it is, we are in about 2 months schedule to be done with the construction documents. And that will again will present another cost opinion to the board at that time with all everything that's in the drawing and in the projects. Hopefully at that time we'll have again good numbers to report, and then it'll be within the budget at that time. And then also with these alternates that would be over above that, but meaning that on bid day you need to select those, or you can maybe not select any or all of those in any order. It doesn't have to go chronologically on the alternatives. So, any questions about this list that we presented before we start?
Any questions?
No, I take it the Thursday meeting went pretty well with staff.
Yeah, Kate was there, so, we had representatives from the board. Appreciate, Steve, you were at the first one, Lonnie, you were at that one also. Again, with good input from the board, from staff members who have experience in education, and also the facilities, trying to balance the needs of both the school board and the wants of the school boards again. So it's a delicate balance, trying to strike all that, but also give you a building that's going to last 50 years. You look at Tolliver, it's what, 70 years, about 65 years old now, and it's been around for a long time. It's got some good bones to it. We hope to make it last for another at least 50 years. And again, with that addition, that's what we're also looking at. Not just the initial cost, but also the ongoing cost with operations. We're looking at the HVAC design, we're looking at flooring materials, everything that goes into this building, not just initially, but how you take care of it long term. That's just as much like being a good steward of the school district. So again, so we're trying to strike that balance.
We were all concerned to make sure that there was definite, all the stakeholders had a chance to talk about when we got down to this stage, because we don't use the buildings. We're in the buildings, but it's the staff, the teachers, and maintenance, and
I think there's
cafeteria.
a very good back and forth discussion between all the stakeholders. Hopefully that you agree with that kind of, everyone that else was attended, Ed, Joy, and Brian was at one of them, and Ray was at them, so I think we have really good representation of all of them.
Any other questions? I've got a couple. So the column over here that says VE,
Yes.
these are savings. So these are things that won't be in the
final.
they come out of the final design.
Yeah.
So because I was out of town and wasn't able to be at the last meeting, there are a couple of things that I don't know the answer to that I just want to take your time and ask you now. So we have talked about the appearance of those windows on the facade that's going to face traffic and entrance and all that, with the spandrels, I think you guys called them.
Yeah.
Is that still
That's
there?
still in the project.
Okay, because I don't see it on either list.
Right. That's
what
I
I'm sure on that.
kind of condensed it to what was here. I didn't.
Right. No, that's
It got
fine.
confusing to have three different columns and the way it's worded in this description. It is taken out, so when
Right.
you put it back in base bid, it was getting kind of confusing. So some of the members, well, is this in or out? And it's
Right.
like, let's just distill
No,
it
this
to
is-
what's. So yeah, the windows are still there. The spandrel glass are still there.
Okay.
So the overall look that you have been seeing is still
Right.
there.
So how does that differ from the raised atrium structure?
It was a structural element that was kind of in the back of house that you didn't really see. We are adjusting the design, just tweaking it a little bit. We're bringing out that front entrance a little bit. We're keeping that awning look on the first floor. We're also kind of keeping that roof line on the second floor, and that's going to extend back. But what's going to happen beyond that, really that atrium was more like a 2.5-story space. It's still, what we're doing is that pop-up that was back over the building, we're making that go away. We're simplifying the structure. Now, it's still going to be a 2-story space in there. We're also still going to leave the structure exposed. We're looking at using decorative joists to help celebrate that space, because if you walk in, that's going to be your first impression of the school. Now, when we change that entrance. So we still want to make it celebrate that space. So that's what we're doing. It's also going to simplify the ongoing maintenance of that building too, because now I don't have some flashing and parapets and some other details that over time can be issues with that school. But it's going to be a great space.
Okay. And then I've been asking about the roof garden or green roof or whatever. Was there a figure that was ever put to that?
We quickly put something together about $150,000 on that item.
And is that something, I know it's not in here, and I guess that it was decided that
It was never, because as we developed the cost opinions, we found really quickly that we were quite a bit over budget, so it was one of the items that we didn't price. The idea there would be, I'd like to take some of that savings and put it towards the courtyard that you have currently. Right now, it's kind of an area that's not really used. We could put a little bit of money in that. Some ideas, I was talking with my landscape architect, and what we need to do is come up with a cake and ask for some design on that space. Because what can we do with that space that you have currently? It's really sitting there unused. It's really nice when you walk that building. Every time you walk the corridors, you're looking down at that space. It's accessible from the first floor. It's a nice large space. It's larger than what that rooftop garden would be. You know, we could develop more hardscape. We could look at the type of landscaping that we put in there to make it more maintenance friendly. Right now, I know we had to take out some trees in the last year just because they were overgrown and served their purpose. But look at more hardscapes, maybe more seating walls, seats on them, areas that might have planter boxes into them. We've got the downspouts that come down from the main roof. We could put rain barrels there for clutch water to help water these plants, and also for testing and science labs, stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that we can do with that existing courtyard that we have.
So is there any budget right now for the courtyard?
I think we set aside maybe $25,000 to $30,000 for that. We want to take a portion of that.
So that's already in the.
We can
there's
look
already
at
something in the budget. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, we have a motion and a second to approve of this is the design development stage of the process.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're approving tonight.
Right.
We have a motion and a second to approve that. All in favor of the motion, state saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. So thanks,
Right.
Eric.
And I've got the company BG 1s, 2s, and 3s to go along with that. So I'll give that to that's probably a good point. I do need action on those. Yeah, basically when part of this motion would be the BG 1s that are the building and grounds project application form. We need to revise that because we've increased the construction cost in the project coverage. Again, that extra, basically the total fund, you can see on the top box here, the total project costs were $12,950,442,000 when we initially started this. With that revised finance outlook, increased bonding potential, that raised that project, the overall project, which includes both hard and soft costs, to $14,082,301. And that was the figure that Joy Campbell presented, I think, last week at the planning meeting. And then basically the BG3 is a recap of the statement of probable cost that goes along with that BG1. Supports it. The same figures kind of go over into that. And then the BG2 is a outline specification of the energy design criteria. We'll be reissuing these at design or at construction documents also. Kind of the formal thing that KDE wants us to do at every stage of the planning.
So, to be more specific about what we're approving is the design development, then we need to make a motion on each of those 1, 2, and 3, the BG forms. Okay, so let me make sure I've heard you right.
Okay.
The revised BG1 for design development is now at $14,082,301, is that right?
14, yeah, it's gonna be 14 million.
That's the number that's out here under total project costs. Okay, and then is that the same number for the revised BG3?
Yes, the idea is when we turn these over to KDE, all these columns have to, the forms have to match.
So we just need to make a motion for that amount for a revised BG1, BG2, and BG3 for the same total?
For the BG1s and 3s.
Okay, what for the 2?
The 2 is more of an outline. It describes what's in the project in terms of HVAC, the materials that are used, the electrical equipment.
So the 2 is not for an amount of
It's not a
money,
cost
it's just a
opinion,
form,
yeah.
right?
It's just a form.
Okay. Does one of you guys see on there this amount, $14,082,301? So we need a motion to revise the BG1 to that amount, a motion to revise the BG3 to that amount, and then a motion to accept the revised BG2 as submitted.
Can we do the BG1 and 3 together?
Should we do them together or should we do them separately?
Probably do it separately. I
think we usually do
yeah,
it separately.
it's a little plan fight for KDE.
Okay. You ready to roll?
I make a motion that we, first I'll say accept the BG1 as submitted with the budget of $14,108,301.
That's not right.
14,082,301.
Excuse me.
Right.
14,082,301.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second to that? Okay. So we're voting on a motion to approve revised BG1 for design development at a total of $14,082,301. Are there any questions on that? All in favor of that motion as stated, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Then we need a revised, you can pick, so either BG2 or BG3.
Well, we'll just stick with the BG3 as submitted with the amount of $14,082,301 revised.
Okay. Is there a second on that? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve a revised BG3 for design development for the same total, $14,082,301. Any questions on that? All in favor of the motion on the BG3, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion passes. Then we need a motion on BG2.
Make a motion
If you want.
to
Yeah.
approve the BG2 as submitted.
Is there a second? Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the revised BG2 for design development as submitted. Any questions on that? All in favor of that motion is stated, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion passes as well. So I think we've gotten everything you need.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Next item on the agenda is our district waivers. Dr. Wood, you want to update us on that? Mr. McKinney?
Dr. Look has some information on waiver 1.
Do waiver 2, I'll talk about waiver 1.
District waiver 2 has been withdrawn. Grandmother is very happy with how things have gone the last 3 or 4 days. It feels like granddaughter is adjusting well here. She was at Bate Middle. So the waiver was actually not to attend school here, which, you know, as we discussed, it's kind of hard to approve a waiver from a school you've never really attended. And I think she's adjusting well, and staff's done a nice job here. I think we've done a pretty good job of keeping up with her, making her feel. And that doesn't mean, and I told Grandma that we'll probably have days that aren't so good, but the more good days she can have. And she didn't have, in her mind, a whole lot at Bate, so she came from another district and I think was really homesick. So I think things are going well with that.
With regards to waiver 1, some new information came to light earlier today that has prompted the district to reevaluate services and care for the student involved. In speaking with the family, I've asked for them to give me until the end of the week to make sure that we are thorough in our analysis. And essentially, I will ask the district to be entrusted as the representative of the board, the designee, to be able to make that determination at the end of the week what is best for that family. I would appreciate it greatly. I think that
So for student one, the waiver's been withdrawn, and for number two, I'm sorry, for number one, we're going to postpone action.
will simply entrust me to make that determination as a representative of the board by the end of the day.
Okay, so do we need to make a motion to that effect, or can we just?
I don't think one is necessary unless you wish to make the same motion as council. The way the waiver reads is that the board will make the decision, so essentially the board would just simply be entrusting me to make that decision.
You can come back next month and ratify it. That's something in the minutes.
Okay. So we'll just leave that motion, that we'll leave
Thank you.
number one with you. We'll come back and ratify that if needed next month, and then number two is been withdrawn.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the financial report. Ms. Campbell.
Okay, just have a few things that I want to point out. If you will look at the bottom of the page one financial report, I want to go over the committed funds and the assigned funds. Committed, we have their reserve for Kisbit. We have the final payments on the invoice run that we are approving today. So those funds will be moved out to the budget so they can be expended. We'll also be moving out during the month of August, site-based committed funds and the funds for the buses. So next month on this report, committed on that line, $351,613 will be zero, and then moved over into the budget for committed fund balance to be spent will be those dollars. So they'll flow to expenditures. Then under assigned for 15-16 and maintenance in progress, we've got $330,000 and $56,000 laying in a line item there that's committed for innovation positions for 15-16. Those will be moved out to the budgeted line and revenue, committed revenue, so that we can expense those. And the maintenance projects will be completed as well, so we can move those out to expense those as well. So they'll be moved from the committed and assigned dollars over to actually expended. Over on the monthly report on receipts and expenditures, both the budget that is laying there is currently our tentative budget. So we will be moving towards the working budget in September. So we'll have some changes. Well, you'll be asked to approve the budget in September for working, and so those numbers will change. You will see on the top line beginning balance that received this month and year to date are zero, and how it compares to last year, and that's because I'm waiting for some final audited expenses to come through and revenue so that I can move that beginning fund balance accurately the first time. So right now it says zero. With the working budget, we'll be closer on revenues with SEEK and with our tax rate dollars, and we'll have all of the expenses for current salaries in the line items of the folks that have been hired. If you will look at the district admin support services line item over on expenditures, you will see that we compare to last year, it looks like we're 39,000 over. This time last year, we had a refund on KSBA unemployment dollars. So it skews that comparison from last year to this year. Of course, we just finished paying our first payment this year of unemployment dollars. So that's in the $31,000 expenditures for July. So we very well could end up at the end of the year, this year again with a refund. It just depends on dollars spent. On instruction, I wanted to call attention to that as well because it looks like there were $62,000 over last year, and here's why. If you recall, our insurance rates on student insurance and work comp and our property, we were up this year. So there's a difference of $56,000 in that. And then the school expenditures on their site-based funds are in that line item, and Bate had a larger expense this year compared to last July. So that caused it to be up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any questions on that?
Okay, that's the financial report. We need a motion on the financial report. Is there a motion there?
Make a motion to approve the financial reports.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions for Coach Joy just told us. All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the payment of invoices. And we'll get a motion first this time. Is there a motion?
I move that we pay the bills.
Is there a second? Okay, so we have a motion, which I'll state in slightly more detail than Steve did, to approve the payment of invoices totaling $340,701.96. Right, Steve? As presented?
That's what was submitted.
Okay. All right. Ms. Campbell, any detail on
So
that?
I just had two comments. First of all, the KISBIT payment, so that's our final one on our KISBIT assessment. Those are in there this month. And then if you notice, we had an invoice for $9,600 to Jamulin Brothers. That is band uniform, so whenever our folks take the field this fall, you'll notice the band uniform. And I call that to your attention because we had board support that contributed to go along with band funds to make that happen. So they're proud of their new uniforms.
Any questions? All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the 2015 tax rates. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve property tax rate of 92.3, PSC tax rate 0.9213, motor vehicle rate 0.669, aircraft and watercraft are exempt in the tax rate to be levied as equivalent to compensating rate of 86.7, and FSPK nickel equivalent of 5.6, totaling 92.30.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions from Ms. Campbell? We had a tax hearing earlier where you went into detail and explained this to us. Any questions on this at this point? All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, the screen blank, is the second reading of board policies 03.1232, 03.2232, and 04.3114. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the second reading of the board policies as submitted. Do I need to say each one?
No,
Okay.
I just read it. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Last month, we presented those just for your review, so if the board's comfortable and approves those tonight, they'll be submitted to KSBA.
Okay, can you just summarize what those three are, just for the record?
Sure. The first two policies is certified and classified policy. It adds one or two extra sick days for staff who work more than the regular school year. So those staff that are year-round get 2 extra days, and those that are kind of in between get 1 extra day. And the 043114 is to rescind the policy on petty cash because we no longer keep petty cash in the schools.
All right, any questions for Mr. Schultz? All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve all consent items as presented. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is executive session. There is need for an executive session tonight. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we go into executive session.
My understanding that's a personnel discussion that might lead to potential discipline of employees. That would be under KRS 61.8.10.1F.
Make a motion that we enter into executive session under KRS 61.8.10.1.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We'll be going into executive session. There'll be no action taken, is that right? And we will come back out and adjourn the meeting. So, thanks everyone for being here tonight.